We actually haven't had a full moon in Aries that wasn't an eclipse since 2022. So I feel like there's a bit of a relief, like there's a bit of a culminating energy here that feels good, especially if you have been doing the emotional work. And I think that when Mars entered Cancer, it was really telling us, like, hey, excuse me, pay attention, okay, because this is important. And I think that we have been initiated in this axes of the Libra Aries axes in a really powerful way because of Chiron, and Chiron is still present in the sign of Aries and was on the exact degree on the solar eclipse back in April of this year. So what that did was probably really bring up a lot of woundings, some core woundings or woundings that you've had all your life. And right now, Chiron is in a trine with Jupiter, and I think that Jupiter is a really strong planetary energy in this full moon. It's also trining the Sun, which is bringing a really strong sense of optimism with some of the relational tensions that we've been experiencing in especially the last month, right? So I've actually already done this shuffle, and it's interesting what's coming up. I'm not sure how to articulate it yet, but hopefully we'll find some flow. So the first card is the Two of Cups. And so this is really speaking, this is cardinal water energy. And it's Venusian. And obviously, right, by the picture alone, we can tell that this has Venusian frequency in it and vibration because it's basically the lovers. It's the lovers card. But actually, it's been said that the Two of Cups is actually stronger, even stronger, as far as good fortune in relationship. And I think that also the symbolism of the snakes in between the caduceus is really symbolizing a deep healing in relationship. And when we're talking about relationship, we really can't divorce ourselves. Like this whole tension between ourselves and our own empowerment in relationships and ourselves in relationship is it's just really deeply enmeshed, and we're much more deeply enmeshed in our relationships, much more than we think we are or would like to be, or like to think we are. And this is actually also somewhat of a mirror image, right? So it's really telling us that there are ways where we can't see ourselves without the other, right? It's like there's a mirroring that happens, right? And actually, this is the stage of development where we're babies, right? That to have a healthy development in this world as a human, we're mirrored. We how we are emotionally is mirrored to us with our main caregiver, so that we feel like we're being seen and heard, right, and understood. And also it goes for the shadow side too. Oftentimes we don't see the things we see the things we don't like, and we see them in the other, right? And it's only when we see them in the other that maybe we can start to understand that that might be something that is something that we need to work on ourselves. I mean, it sounds a bit cliche, but it's kind of true, right? So that's the energy that's coming in here. It's actually, I think, the energy of optimism, right? So with this full moon and the North Node being in the sign of Aries, this is kind of like a fresh start. Like the house of Aries has been freshly mopped, okay, and we're basically calling in more aligned energy, right? And Mars Aries, the sign of Aries, is the archetype of really strong-minded and passionate about values, right? And that's why it's also a warring energy, right? It's like I fight for things because I feel really passionate about things, right? Whatever that is. So this is kind of the ideal, really, that's coming through in this reading right away, right? This is what we're going towards in Libra season, and especially in this eclipse season, things are being thrown in our face. Is this what we're feeling? And what's reinforcing that is what's crossing this card and reinforcing that is the Four of Wands, which is also Venusian. It corresponds to Venus in in Aries. So this is speaking to opposites, but Venus has a way of helping us dance through the conflicts, right? So marriage denoting here is maybe what I was sort of alluding to here, that, opposites are actually, they're attracted to each other, but they're much more, they need each other, and they fit a hole, and opposites are actually really purposeful and bring clarity, actually bring things to light, right? So we could have been dancing, having a dance here in the last month in Libra season on finding the harmony, but and hopefully we have found it, but maybe we're still moving through that dance, right? Understanding what is you, where do you begin and I end, like what is you and what is me, like let me see, is it me? Okay, no, it's you. This type of thing. And what could be on our mind is the past, right? 5, it symbolizes actually the planet Mars, but it's also numerically a number that signifies change, with maybe some challenge, but change. So the mind actually could be undergoing some change right now, and maybe looking back or maybe moving out of spiritual, basically like spiritual poverty, right? Like it speaks to, symbolically, it looks like, it is this material destitute. And often when materialism is taken out of our life, we can really see how actually, how much in deficit we are to the spiritual. And so that has a tendency to correlate, right? Like if we have a lot of money, we may be detached from the spiritual side of life, right? And like vice versa, right? If we're in this spiritual environment, we renounce all, our belongings, then we're spiritual, right? And it's interesting because all of these are really like speaking to these kind of extremes and opposites. And also like, right now Mars is in the sign of the moon, and that's Mars in Cancer. Cancer is the opposite sign of it's not the opposite sign. Mars is in the sign of the moon. And the moon is in the sign of Mars. So there's actually this mutual reception here. But, this is also speaking to the oppositions too. So it's like, there's some things that feel uncomfortable, adjustments that are feeling uncomfortable, and these kind of like opposites. But do we need to live in these extreme opposites? I mean, I don't know. We're in Libra season, so everything is like kind of high contrast. That's the picture that we're starting with, right? And really, I think that this is the Libra card, really. This is the sun really showing up here, and it's the Queen of Swords. And so the Queen of Swords is cutting through the bullshit, but like there's clarity there, right? It's clarity. The clouds are moving. We can see what's in front of us. And so whatever projections might be at play in this picture, is seeking that clarity, the subconscious subtext of how things are operating in relationship. And I think that, kind of the shadows that we're projecting speak more about how we are deprived spiritually, perhaps, right? So, with that being said, this could all be the tensions between this ideal and this energy. There's actually a loss here in our past. There's a loss here. We see the 3 cups really signifying this loss. But there's also an understanding that all isn't lost, right? So you have the 2 cups behind, right? Behind this individual, behind protected and waiting in the wings. So there's definitely lessons here. It's a 5 again, so this is change with some challenge, and it's gonna take some mental fortitude, right? That is coming in, the mental fortitude to really be able to see clearly, right? You see those 2 cups, right? And so the 2 cups is really bringing in this air is fueling the fire of the Ace of Wands, and really this is fire energy, of course, but this is like this initiating energy. This is this new initiative. This is really the energy of the beginning of spring. There's a new cycle happening again. This is the end of this eclipse cycle for the North Node. So when we have a metaphorical, new beginning in relationship, right? In relationship and sense of self, right? But all is not lost, so we're going to keep on going. And we could feel like we are working really hard on this, like this union and this dance of bringing the opposites together and bringing the love together. Like I said, Jupiter is bringing in the optimism. So the optimism and the fire from this wand is really propelling us to move forward in hard work and mastery and to gain more and more skills so that we can accomplish really the material goals, for sure. But we are aware now that there are spiritual goals that we also want to attend to as well, right? So these cards, right? And we're working hard at this dance of union, right? But no. Well, the thing is that we might be getting a little bit too ahead of ourselves and not realize that, yeah, we really do have to, continue with the fortitude that we are exhibiting and really not like get lazy. Others might think that, and that could be frustrating, especially in relationship, right? And to get out of old projections and get into more of a spiritually nourishing or spiritually abundant place, right? And have the clarity. So what's happening here now is, this is interesting. We got this card last week, but it was in the final outcome position, and the last 2 cards actually switched. But anyway, so what's interesting is, we had the 7 of Pentacles, and now we have the 7 of Wands, and I think that this is really speaking to Venus yet again. And I think that we really need to pay attention to feminine water, right? Because Mars is in the sign of the moon, is in Cancer, is in this water sign, and is being amplified by the moon. It's herself, right, in Aries. So this mutual reception, strengthening the expression of each other. And so we really need to take seriously the Venus, where Venus is in the sign of Scorpio. Scorpio, the ancient ruler, the traditional ruler of Mars too. So, it keeps pointing back to Mars, but Venus is very strong here. And Mars and Venus were in a trine last week, and they've been moving out of that. But Venus now is moving into a trine with Neptune. So these are about higher ideals here, okay? So the old ideals need to go, and we gotta stop. We gotta fight for the right ideals, the right beliefs that bring us into spiritual abundance, out of spiritual poverty, into a sense of optimism, right? And so the outcome card is the Death card. So again, this points to Scorpio, to me, and Venus again. So we have a lot of Venus cards. I'm just going to put them up here. We got Venus. Like, look how many Venus cards there are. And there's like Venus. This is Venus in Cancer card. And technically, you know, these are Venus, 7. So Venus is moving into this trine, with Neptune. So it is about a higher ideal. It is about merging the opposites. It's about transcending the differences. Yeah. So I'm going to leave it there. I hope that was helpful in some way. I think that it hasn't been easy, and it has been taking work to move through Mars in Cancer. And I think what it's teaching us is to really stay in touch with our emotions and also not get too attached to them, because every 2.2 days the moon moves. So in a way, it could be really showing us some healthy detachment, right? So if we feel really emotional and really intense about something, like seriously wait 2 days, right? If you want to act on something and you can feel that impulsiveness, which is probably Mars, and that the moon is amplifying, right? It's like, just wait 2 days and see how you feel. And yeah, so I hope that serves you in some way. And you know, I'll see you next week for the third quarter part of the moon, and that should be interesting. And just sending you so much love, and hope you're moving through the energy with much love, ease, and grace. Thank you. See you next time.